Admiral Dohyun stared at the message on his screen for the third time. The words did not change. The Valkyrie Empire wanted peace. After 12 years of war, after millions of deaths, after burning colonies and shattered fleets, they wanted to talk. He did not trust it. The bridge of the battleship Indomitable hummed with quiet activity around him. Officers worked at their stations, monitoring the fleet that stretched through space like a steel constellation. Beyond the windows, stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the Valkyrie were waiting. Captain Hana entered the bridge, her boots clicking against the metal floor. She carried a datapad and wore the expression Do-hyun had learned to recognize over their years serving together. It was her concerned face. "You have read it," Do-hyun said. It was not a question. 3 times, Hana replied. She stopped beside his command chair. "The Federation Council is excited. They think the war is over. What do you think?" Hana pulled up a holographic display from her datapad. Blue lines and numbers floated in the air between them. "Our intelligence says the Valkyrie fleet took heavy losses in the Kepler system. Their supply lines should be broken. On paper, they should want peace." "On paper," Do-hyun repeated. He highlighted a section of the data. "What does this show?" "Valkyrie supply convoys. Moving normally. No signs of shortage or desperation." Hana's jaw tightened. "Sir, if they are desperate, they are hiding it very well." The door opened again. Commander Jiho walked in, followed by Dr. Yuna. Jiho looked like he always did before battle, sharp and ready. Yuna looked worried. "Admiral, we need to talk about this meeting," Jiho said without greeting. "Theta 7 Station is a terrible location for peace talks." Do-hyun gestured for them to continue. Yuna brought up another hologram. This one showed a star map with a small dot marked in red. "Theta 7 is on the edge of disputed space," Yuna explained. "It was abandoned 6 years ago during the retreat from the outer rim. But look at its position." The map zoomed out. Suddenly, the station's location looked different. It sat at a junction point where 3 Valkyrie military routes intersected. A perfect place to gather forces without being obvious. "They could have ships here, here, and here." Jiho pointed to 3 locations near the station, hidden in the dust clouds and asteroid fields. "We would not see them until it was too late." "The Council knows this?" Do-hyun asked. "They know," Hana said quietly. "They do not care. The colonies are tired of war. The people want peace. The politicians want to give it to them." Do-hyun stood up from his chair. He walked to the main viewport and looked out at his fleet. 53 ships. The largest human battle group ever assembled. Every one of them had seen combat. Everyone carried scars from Valkyrie weapons. "What do your instincts tell you, Jiho?" he asked. "That this is a trap, sir." "Yuna." The doctor hesitated. "I want to believe they are sincere. But Valkyrie culture values strength above all else. They do not respect weakness. If they think we are desperate for peace, they might see it as an opportunity." "Hana, I intercepted encrypted Valkyrie communications 3 days ago," she said. They went completely silent the day after the peace offer was sent. Total radio silence from their military networks. That is not normal behavior for an empire that wants to talk. Do-hyun nodded slowly. He had expected these answers. He had felt the same unease from the moment he read the message. 12 years of fighting the Valkyrie had taught him many things. One lesson stood above all others. The Valkyrie respected only power. They negotiated only from positions of strength. So why were they asking for peace now? "What are your orders, sir?" Jiho asked. Do-hyun turned to face his officers. "We will attend the peace talks. The Federation Council has ordered it, and we will obey. We will take a diplomatic shuttle with Ambassador Suman and a small security team." He saw the disappointment in their faces. Jiho looked ready to protest. But Do-hyun was not finished. "However," he continued, "and we will not go alone. The entire fleet will follow us to the Theta 7 system. We will position ourselves in the Gamma Nebula, 2 light minutes from the station. Full battle stations, weapons hot, every ship ready for combat." "The Council ordered only a small diplomatic presence," Hana said carefully. "If we bring the fleet, they will not be happy." "I will deal with the Council," Do-hyun said. "But I will not send our people into a trap without protection. If the Valkyrie are sincere, they will never know we are there. If they are not," he let the sentence hang in the air. "And if they detect us in the nebula," Yuna asked, "then they will know we are not fools," Do-hyun said simply. "Jiho, prepare the fleet for full combat operations. I want every system checked and double-checked. Pull crews from leave if you must. We leave in 48 hours. Yes, sir. Hana, contact Ambassador Suman. Tell her she will have Lieutenant Minho and his Special Forces team as security. Make sure Minho understands this is not a ceremonial posting. Understood. Yuna, study everything we know about Velkori negotiation tactics. Look for patterns, for tells, for anything that might give away their real intentions. I will start immediately, Admiral. The three officers left the bridge to carry out their orders. Do-Yun remained at the viewport staring into space. Somewhere out there, the Velkori were making their plans. Were they planning for peace? Or were they sharpening their knives? A young ensign approached him hesitantly. Sir, message from Earth. The Council wants to speak with you. Tell them I will call back in 1 hour, Do-Hyun said. I am busy preparing for peace. The ensign nodded and hurried away. Do-Hyun allowed himself a thin smile. The Council would argue with him. They would say he was being paranoid. They would accuse him of wanting to continue the war. Let them argue. He had not kept his fleet alive for 12 years by trusting the enemy. He had done it by being prepared for anything. The Velkori wanted to meet at Theta 7. Fine. Humanity would attend their peace conference. But humanity would arrive ready for war. Because if Do-Hyun had learned anything in 12 years of fighting, it was this. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst, and if the worst came, the Velkori would discover that humanity had been preparing very carefully indeed. The stars burned cold outside the window. In 2 days, they would know the truth. Peace or war, life or death. Do-Hyun touched the rail of the viewport, his jaw set in determination. Whatever happened at Theta 7, humanity would be ready. The diplomatic shuttle approached Theta 7 station slowly. Through the front window, Lieutenant Minho could see the old structure spinning gently against the black. It looked dead. No lights except for the docking beacons. No ships visible nearby. Just an abandoned station waiting in empty space. Minho did not like it. Something feels wrong, he said quietly to his second-in-command. Sergeant Sora sat at the technical station, her fingers dancing across controls. I am reading minimal power signatures. Just life support and basic systems. If someone is here, they are being very quiet about it. Ambassador Suman sat in the passenger area, reviewing her notes for the negotiation. She was young for an ambassador, but she had worked hard to reach this position. She wanted this peace to work. Minho could see it in the way she studied her datapad, the way she practiced phrases under her breath. He hoped she would get her wish. But his job was to expect the worst. The shuttle docked with a soft clang. The airlock cycled. Minho signaled his team to take positions. 8 Special Forces soldiers moved with practiced silence, checking weapons and scanning the corridor beyond the door. Clear, one of them reported. They entered Theta 7. The station felt hollow. Empty corridors stretched away into darkness. Only emergency lighting flickered along the walls. Their boots echoed on the metal floor. The Velkori representatives are in Conference Room 7, Suman said, checking her pad. It is 3 levels up. They moved through the station carefully. Minho kept his hand near his weapon. Sora stayed at the back of the group, her portable scanner humming quietly. She was looking for things that should not be there. Hidden weapons, surveillance systems, traps, and Sora whispered. I am picking up active power conduits in the walls. Much more than what basic life support would need. Can you tell what they are powering? Not yet, but someone turned them on recently, within the last few hours. Minho filed that information away. When they reached Conference Room 7, the doors opened automatically. Inside, 3 Velkori waited. The aliens stood tall, their gray skin decorated with rank markings. Their large eyes watched the humans enter. One of them, presumably the leader, gestured to chairs arranged around a long table. Welcome, the Velkori said in accented human speech. We are pleased you came. Ambassador Suman stepped forward with a smile. Thank you for inviting us. This is an important day for both our peoples. The meeting began. Suman talked about peace. The Velkori talked about ending the war. Words flowed back and forth like a dance. Everything seemed proper, professional, civilized. But Minho noticed things. The way the Velkori kept glancing at a device on the wall, the way they seemed to be listening to something the humans could not hear, the way they were stalling. He moved to where Sora was standing. Status? He whispered. I accessed the station's old security network, she breathed into his ear. Sir, this station is not abandoned. There are weapon platforms hidden in the outer hull. Big ones, and they are powered up. Minho's blood went cold. Are you certain? Completely. Someone installed them recently. They are aimed at our docking port. Her fingers kept working on her scanner. And sir, I am detecting ships. Multiple large vessels. They are using the asteroid field for cover, but their power signatures are leaking through. This was not a peace conference. This was an execution. Minho caught the eye of his team leader across the room. He made a small hand signal. The soldiers shifted positions subtly, moving closer to Ambassador Suman. They looked casual, but now they were ready to move fast. At the table, the lead Valkyrie checked his device again. He seemed satisfied with what he saw. Before we continue, the Valkyrie said, we must discuss terms of surrender. Suman blinked. I am sorry, surrender? We are here to discuss peace terms, not your surrender, the Valkyrie interrupted. You will order your Federation to stand down immediately. Your fleets will disarm. Your colonies will accept Valkyrie governance. The room went silent. Suman stared at the alien in shock. That was never part of the agreement. We came here in good faith. Your faith was misplaced, the Valkyrie said. His voice was calm, almost pleased. You humans are always so trusting, so naive. Red lights began flashing on the walls. An alarm started to wail. Minho grabbed Suman and pulled her behind him as his soldiers raised their weapons. What is happening? Suman demanded. Sora's scanner screamed a warning. Multiple contacts. Ships dropping out of hyperspace all around the station. Through the conference room windows, space erupted with light. Valkyrie warships appeared like sharks rising from dark water. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Their weapons were already glowing hot, ready to fire. The lead Valkyrie smiled, showing too many teeth. Your Admiral Do-Yun thought he was clever, bringing only a small delegation. But we knew he would come. And now your leadership will die here. Without you, the Human Federation will collapse. The war will be over. A massive Valkyrie battleship moved into view outside the window. It was bigger than anything Minho had ever seen. Weapons bristled from every surface. The station's platforms are locking onto our shuttle, Sora reported, her voice tight with stress. We are trapped. The Valkyrie commander activated a communication system. His voice boomed through speakers across the station and out into space. Human vessels, this is the Valkyrie High Fleet. You are surrounded. Your diplomatic team is our prisoner. Surrender immediately or we will destroy them. You have 5 minutes to comply. Silence fell over the room. The Valkyrie looked triumphant. Suman's face was pale. Minho's soldiers kept their weapons trained on the aliens, but what good would it do? They were trapped on a station surrounded by a massive enemy fleet. Then, cutting through the silence like a knife, a human voice spoke over the communication channel. Valkyrie Fleet. This is Admiral Do-Yun of the United Human Systems Federation. The lead Valkyrie's smile widened. Admiral, you will order your ships to... You made 3 mistakes, Do-Yun's voice continued, cold and hard as steel. The Valkyrie frowned. Mistakes? Your first mistake was assuming we trusted you. The Valkyrie commander laughed. It does not matter now. You are surrounded. Your diplomats will... Your second mistake, Do-Yun interrupted, was assuming we came unprepared. Admiral, you are in no position to... Your third mistake, Do-Yun said. And now his voice carried an edge that made even Minho's spine straighten. Was assuming we came alone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to tear open. Ships appeared. Human ships. Not the small diplomatic escort the Valkyrie expected. A fleet. A massive fleet. Battleships, carriers, destroyers, cruisers. They materialized from the nearby nebula like ghosts becoming solid. And there were so many of them that Minho watched through the window as the Valkyrie commander's face changed, from triumph to confusion to slowly dawning horror. Impossible, the alien whispered. Our intelligence said, your intelligence was wrong, Do-Yun's voice said. We have been tracking your fleet movements for weeks. We knew about your trap before you even sent the invitation. Did you really think we would fall for something so obvious? More human ships kept appearing. The space around Theta 7 filled with them. Minho tried to count and stopped at 50. Then 70. Then he lost count entirely. Valkyrie commander, Do-Yun said. You wanted to end this war, we agree. But we will end it on our terms. Your fleet is now surrounded by superior forces. Your ambush has failed. Stand down, or discover exactly how prepared humanity can be. The Valkyrie commander looked at his device. then at his fellow delegates. Then out the window at the human armada that had appeared from nowhere. The trap had been sprung. But humanity had been the one holding the trigger all along. Space around Theta 7 station exploded into chaos. The Valkyrie fleet outnumbered the humans nearly 3-1. Their ships were larger, their weapons more powerful by traditional measures. But the Valkyrie commander stared at his tactical display with growing dread. Something was wrong. The human ships were not behaving like they should. Admiral Do-hyun sat in his command chair aboard the Indomitable, watching his plan unfold. For 12 years, humanity had fought defensively. They had retreated. They had taken losses. The Valkyrie thought they understood human capabilities. They understood nothing. All ships, execute pattern Omega, Do-hyun ordered calmly. Across the human fleet, ships that had been grouped together suddenly scattered in perfect coordination. They moved in ways that should not be possible, making turns too sharp, accelerating too quickly. The Valkyrie targeting system struggled to keep up. Gravitational disruptors active, Captain Hana reported from her station. The Valkyrie fleet is experiencing sensor disruption. Do-hyun nodded. The disruptors were humanity's first surprise. They had reverse-engineered the technology from captured Valkyrie vessels 2 years ago. Then human scientists had improved it, made it better. The Valkyrie had no idea their own weapons had been turned against them. Commander Yoonji's voice crackled over the communication channel. Fighter wings launching now. From the human carriers, small ships poured out like angry hornets. But these were not ordinary fighters. They moved in impossible patterns, appearing in one location and vanishing, only to reappear somewhere else entirely. Micro-jump drives are working perfectly, Yoonji reported. Her voice was steady, professional, but Do-hyun could hear the excitement underneath. Valkyrie point defense cannot track us. The Valkyrie fleet tried to respond. Their large battleships turned their massive weapons toward the human fighters. But the fighters were already gone, jumping through space in tiny hyperspace hops. They struck at engine clusters and weapon batteries, then vanished before retaliation could come. On Theta 7 station, Lieutenant Minho watched through the window as the battle unfolded. The Valkyrie delegates stood frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. Their unbeatable fleet was being torn apart by forces they did not understand. Sora, Minho said urgently, can you access the station's weapon systems? The technician's fingers flew over her portable terminal. I am in their network now. Their security is... It is terrible, sir. They never expected someone to hack systems this old. Can you control the platforms? Give me 30 seconds. Minho kept his weapon trained on the Valkyrie delegates. Ambassador Suman stood behind him, her face a mixture of shock and awe as she watched the battle. I did not know we had such weapons, she whispered. Most people did not, Minho replied. The Admiral kept many secrets. Got it, Sora announced. Station weapons are mine. The massive gun platforms built into Theta 7's hull rotated smoothly. They had been aimed at the human shuttle, ready to destroy it. Now they turned toward the Valkyrie fleet. Energy beams lanced out, cutting through Valkyrie shields like paper. Outside, Captain Tejo's ship Retribution moved into attack position. It was unlike any vessel in the human fleet. Larger than a battleship but sleek, almost organic in design. The Valkyrie had never seen it before. Retribution in position, Tejo reported. Ready to deploy the EMP cannon. Do-hyun leaned forward in his chair. Fire! A pulse of pure electromagnetic energy erupted from the Retribution. It was not aimed at any single ship. Instead, it washed over the entire Valkyrie fleet like a wave. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Valkyrie ships began to go dark. The Valkyrie used neural link networks. Every ship connected to every other ship, sharing data instantly. It made their fleet coordination perfect. It was their greatest advantage. It was also their greatest weakness. The EMP pulse cascaded through their network like a virus. One ship affected another, which affected 2 more, which affected 4 more. Within seconds, hundreds of Valkyrie vessels lost power to weapons, shields, and engines. They drifted helplessly in space. Sir, we are receiving transmissions from the Valkyrie fleet, Hana reported. Some ships are trying to surrender. Not all of them? Do-hyun asked. No, sir. About 40% are still operational. And they are getting angry. The remaining Valkyrie ships pressed their attack with renewed fury. They fired everything they had at the human fleet. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds. space filled with deadly light. But the human ships danced through it all. They moved in patterns the Valkyrie had never seen, using tactics that had been developed in secret over years of preparation. Every battle humanity had fought, every loss they had taken, had taught them something new. They had learned, adapted, evolved. Engineer Hyunwoo sat in his workshop deep inside the Indomitable, monitoring his weapon systems. His creations were performing beautifully. The Valkyrie were shooting at ghosts, at sensor shadows, at ships that were no longer where they appeared to be. "Admiral," Hyunwoo said over the comm, "should I activate the final countermeasures?" "Not yet," Do-hyun replied. "Let them see what we have shown them. Let them wonder what else we have kept hidden." Dr. Yuna worked at her station, translating intercepted Valkyrie communications. What she heard made her heart ache even as she knew it was necessary. "Admiral, the Valkyrie are transmitting to enslaved species in their fleet. They are ordering them to fight as frontline forces." Do-hyun's expression hardened. "Hana, open a channel to all non-Valkyrie ships in their fleet. Full broadcast." "Channel open, sir." Do-hyun spoke clearly, his words translated automatically into dozens of languages. "To all enslaved peoples serving in the Valkyrie fleet, this is Admiral Do-hyun of humanity. We know you fight against your will. Power down your weapons and engines. We will not fire on you. Help us end Valkyrie tyranny, and we will help you return home. This war is not yours. It ends today." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then one by one, ships in the Valkyrie fleet began to go dark. Not because of the EMP weapon, because their crews chose to stop fighting. The Valkyrie commander in Conference Room 7 watched his fleet falling apart. His face showed pure disbelief. "This is impossible. You were losing. We were winning. How do you have such technology?" Minho smiled coldly. "We were not losing. We were learning. Every battle, every retreat, every defeat. We studied you. We adapted, and while your leaders were planning this trap, our engineers were building the weapons that would break you." More Valkyrie ships surrendered. Others tried to flee but found human vessels blocking every escape route. Commander Yoonji's fighters herded them like sheep, forcing them into tighter formations where they could not maneuver. "Valkyrie fleet, this is Admiral Do-hyun. You have lost. Your ambush failed. Your weapons cannot touch us. Your fleet is scattered. Surrender now and your crews will live. Continue fighting and we will demonstrate weapons you have not yet seen." The threat hung in the air. The Valkyrie did not know if Do-hyun was bluffing, but given what they had already witnessed, they could not afford to assume he was. One by one, the remaining Valkyrie ships powered down their weapons. The battle ended not with a grand explosion but with a whimper. The mighty Valkyrie fleet, pride of the Empire, sat helpless in space while human ships surrounded them. On the station, the lead Valkyrie delegate sank into a chair, his face gray with defeat. Ambassador Sumin looked at the alien with something close to pity. Do-hyun's voice came over the comm one final time. "Valkyrie commander, you wanted to negotiate. Now we will negotiate. But on our terms. You will come aboard the Indomitable, and you will learn what it means to face humanity when we are truly prepared." The Valkyrie commander walked through the corridors of the Indomitable surrounded by human marines. His hands were not bound. He was not dragged or beaten. But every step felt like walking to his execution. Admiral Do-hyun waited in the main conference room. It was not large or decorated, just a simple room with a table and chairs. The commander entered and found himself facing not just Do-hyun, but Captain Hana, Commander Jiho, Dr. Yuna, and Ambassador Sumin. The humans who had outmaneuvered an empire. "Sit," Do-hyun said. It was not a request. The Valkyrie sat. He looked at the humans with eyes that held fear and confusion. "I do not understand. How did you know? Our intelligence was perfect. Our spies reported your fleet was scattered across 3 systems. You could not have gathered this many ships without us knowing." Hana smiled thinly. "Your spies reported what we wanted them to report. We have known about your intelligence network for 8 months. Every piece of information your spies sent back was reviewed and approved by us first." The commander's face went even more gray. "Impossible. Our encryption was broken 14 months ago," Hana interrupted. "We have been reading your military communications for over a year. We knew about your trap 3 weeks before you sent the peace invitation." The alien looked like he might be sick. His entire understanding of the war had just collapsed. "Then why did you come?" Why not just refuse the meeting? Do-hyun leaned forward. Because we wanted to end this war. But we needed to end it completely. Your empire had to understand that humanity cannot be defeated, cannot be trapped, cannot be threatened. The only way to make you understand was to let you try your best trap and watch it fail. Commander Jiho pulled up a holographic display. It showed star maps, fleet movements, supply routes. Months and months of data. We have tracked every major Valkyrie military asset. We know where your fleets are. We know your supply stores. We know which systems support your war effort, and which are ready to rebel. You have no secrets left. The Valkyrie commander stared at the data. His people had fought for 12 years believing they were the superior force. Now he realized they had been fighting an enemy who saw everything, knew everything, and had been waiting for the right moment to strike. What do you want? The commander asked quietly. Ambassador Suman stood up. Despite what had happened on Theta 7, despite nearly being killed in the Valkyrie trap, she still believed in proper diplomacy. We want peace. Real peace, but it must come with conditions. She activated another display. Terms scrolled across the screen. The commander read them and his face fell further with each line. Immediate withdrawal from all contested systems. Reparations for destroyed human colonies. Freedom for all enslaved species under Valkyrie control. Dismantling of 70% of the Valkyrie military. Human monitoring stations placed in Valkyrie space. War crimes trials for Valkyrie leadership responsible for atrocities. This is not peace, the commander said. This is surrender. Complete surrender. Yes, Do-hyun said simply. It is. My empire will never accept these terms. We would rather die fighting. Do-hyun nodded to Jiho. The tactical officer brought up new images, ships, weapons, technology the Valkyrie had never seen. These are the weapons we did not use today, the ones we kept hidden. Would you like to see what they do? The images showed test firing, human weapons that could crack planets, missiles that could track ships through hyperspace, shields that could turn energy weapons back on the attacker, technology that made what the Valkyrie saw at Theta 7 look primitive. We could have won this war years ago, Hana said softly. We had the capability. But we chose not to. We wanted the Valkyrie to have a chance to choose peace. You chose treachery instead. Dr. Yuna spoke for the first time since the meeting began. Her voice was gentle but firm. I have studied your culture extensively. I know that Valkyrie respects strength above all else. You cannot respect an enemy you think is weak. So we had to show you our strength, all of it, so you would understand that continuing this war means extinction. The commander looked at each human face. He saw no hatred there. No joy in victory. Just determination. Cold, unwavering determination. If we refuse these terms, he asked, then we will take them by force, Do-hyun said. We will dismantle your empire system by system. We will free every slave, destroy every weapon, break every fleet. And when we are done, there will be no Valkyrie empire left to negotiate with. Your people will survive, but your civilization will not. Silence filled the room. Outside the window, the Valkyrie fleet floated helpless under human guns. Thousands of ships, hundreds of thousands of crew, all alive, all spared. Why? The commander asked suddenly. Why did you not destroy us? We would have killed you all without mercy. We tried to kill your leaders. Why let us live? Ambassador Suman answered. Because we are not like you. We do not wage war for conquest. We do not enslave species we defeat. We fight only to protect ourselves and to free those you oppress. We could exterminate your empire, but we choose mercy instead. Mercy with conditions, the commander said bitterly. Mercy with justice, Suman corrected. Your empire committed terrible crimes. Those must be answered for. But your people, the common Valkyrie who were simply following orders, they will be spared. They can rebuild. They can live in peace, but not as conquerors, not as slavers. As equals among the stars, the commander sat in silence for a long time. He thought about his empire, about the trap that had failed so completely, about the human fleet that had appeared like a nightmare, about weapons he had never imagined and intelligence networks he never knew existed. Finally, he spoke. I do not have the authority to accept these terms. We know, Do-hyun said. That is why you will return to your flagship and contact your High Council. You will tell them everything that happened here. Every detail. And you will tell them that humanity offers this chance for peace only once. If they refuse, we will come for them. And next time there will be no negotiation. They will ask for time to consider. They have 72 hours, Jiho said flatly. After that, we will assume they have chosen war. And we will act accordingly. The commander stood slowly. Human Marines moved to escort him back to his ship. Before he left, he turned to face Do-hyun one more time. I thought we understood humanity, he said. We thought you were young, weak, easy to manipulate. And now? Do-hyun asked. Now I understand that you are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because you are cruel, but because you are not. You fight with mercy in one hand and destruction in the other, and you are willing to use both. Remember that, Do-hyun said. When you speak to your High Council, remember what you saw today. Remember that humanity tried to make peace. Remember that you forced us to show our strength. And remember that what you saw was only a fraction of what we are capable of. The commander left. The humans remained in the conference room, exhausted but satisfied. They had played a dangerous game. They had risked everything on the bet that they could outmaneuver the Valkyrie. And they had won. Do you think they will accept? Suman asked quietly. Do-hyun looked out at the captured fleet. They have no choice. We made sure of that. They will accept or they will die. And the Valkyrie, whatever their faults, are not fools. They understand survival. 3 days later, the Valkyrie High Council transmitted their acceptance of human terms. The war was over. Not with celebration or joy, but with the cold certainty that humanity had earned its place in the galaxy through preparation, intelligence, and overwhelming force held in check by mercy. The peace treaty was signed aboard the Indomitable, not as equals but as victor and defeated, and every species in the sector learned a new truth about humanity. They were not to be trifled with. They were not to be trapped. They were not to be underestimated, because humanity always came prepared. 6 months had passed since the battle at Theta 7. The galaxy looked different now. Admiral Do-hyun stood at his office window on Earth, looking up at the stars. He was no longer in uniform. After 30 years of military service, he had retired from active command. But his work was far from over. As the Federation's new Secretary of Interstellar Relations, he now shaped policy instead of commanding fleets. A soft knock on his door interrupted his thoughts. Come in, he called. Admiral Hana entered, wearing the uniform he had once worn. She commanded the expeditionary fleet now, the youngest person ever to hold that position. Behind her walked her brother Minho, no longer a lieutenant but a colonel, head of security for all human diplomatic missions. Secretary, Hana said with a slight smile. Still not used to that title? Do-hyun smiled back. I preferred Admiral. It was simpler. He gestured to chairs. Sit. Tell me about the sector. Hana pulled up a holographic display. The map showed dozens of systems marked in different colors. The Valkyrie Empire has fragmented into 7 independent states. All of them are peaceful so far. Most are focusing on rebuilding. And the enslaved species? 43 different species have been freed from Valkyrie control. Most are receiving Federation aid to rebuild their homeworlds. 3 of them have petitioned to join the Federation formally. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Do we have the resources to accept them? We do, Minho answered. And it would send a strong message. That humanity does not just fight wars. We help rebuild what others destroyed. A chime sounded. Dr. Yuna appeared on the view screen, transmitting from a distant system. Behind her, beings of various species worked together in what looked like a cultural center. Secretary Do-hyun, Yuna greeted warmly. I wanted to update you on the Cultural Exchange Initiative. We have established 17 learning centers across former Valkyrie space. Species are sharing their histories, their arts, their languages. For the first time in generations, they are free to be themselves. And the Valkyrie? Do-hyun asked. How do they react to their former slaves teaching others? Yuna's expression became thoughtful. Some resist. Some are bitter. But many, especially the younger generation, are joining the centers. They are learning too. Learning that strength comes from cooperation, not domination. Another screen activated. Ambassador Suman appeared, looking tired but happy. Secretary, I am transmitting from the Corvin system. We have successfully negotiated a trade agreement between the Corvins and 3 former Valkyrie colonies. They were enemies 6 months ago. Today they signed a mutual defense pact. Excellent work, Ambassador, Do-hyun said. Your efforts are building the peace we fought for. When the transmissions ended, Hana stood and walked to the window beside Do-hyun. Do you ever regret it? She asked quietly. The way we won? Some species fear us now. They should fear us, Do-hyun replied. Not because we will attack them, but because they know we can defend ourselves and our allies absolutely. That fear prevents wars before they start. Still, Hana said, it is a heavy burden. Being the strongest force in the sector. Yes, but we carry it well. Do-hyun turned to face his successor. You have read the reports from Commander Jiho? Hana nodded. He has identified 3 potential threats, minor empires that might try to fill the vacuum left by the Valkyrie collapse. And our response? We are opening diplomatic channels with all 3, offering trade agreements, technology sharing, cultural exchanges. We are showing them there is more profit in peace than war. And if diplomacy fails, Hana's expression hardened, then they will learn the same lesson the Valkyrie learned, that humanity is 3 steps ahead, always. Across the galaxy, humanity's influence spread like ripples in water, not through conquest but through careful preparation and demonstrated capability. Commander Jiho sat in the new Strategic Operations Center, monitoring reports from every corner of known space. His screens showed ship movements, trade routes, communication intercepts. Nothing happened in the sector without humanity knowing about it. Sir, a young analyst said, the Gorvian Collective is moving warships toward the border. Jiho pulled up the data. How many? 20 vessels. Battlecruiser class. Contact Captain Taeho. Have the Retribution and her sister ships conduct exercises near the Gorvian border. Make sure they can see us. Make sure they remember Theta 7. Yes, sir. The Gorvian ships changed course 3 hours later. They had received the message clearly. Humanity was watching. Humanity was ready. Testing their borders would be a mistake. In the shipyards orbiting Mars, engineer Hyunwoo walked through construction bays filled with new vessels. These were not warships, though they could fight if needed. They were exploration vessels, hospital ships, cargo haulers, the tools of peace. But in the restricted sections, other ships took shape. New designs, new weapons. Humanity was not resting on its victories. Every day they improved. Every day they prepared, sir, a young engineer asked. Why do we keep building weapons when the war is over? Hyunwoo looked at the innocent face and remembered his own innocence before the war. Because peace must be protected. The Valkyrie taught us that. They saw weakness and attacked. Now the galaxy sees strength and stays peaceful. As long as we remain strong, peace remains possible. Commander Eunji ran training exercises with pilots from 6 different species. Her fighters danced through simulated combat, their movements recorded and studied. Human tactics were now being taught to allies, spreading humanity's doctrine across the stars. You must think 3 moves ahead, she told her students. Your enemy sees where you are. You must be where they do not expect. This is how humanity fights. This is how humanity wins. A young Corvan pilot raised a hand. Commander, is it true that humans never lost a battle after Theta 7? Eunji smiled. We lost many battles, but we learned from each loss. By the time Theta 7 came, we had learned enough to win the war. Remember, losing a battle is not failure. Failing to learn from it is. On Theta 7 itself, something remarkable had happened. The station had been transformed into a memorial and museum. Species from across the sector came to see where the Great Trap had failed, where humanity had demonstrated its capability. Ambassador Suman stood in the restored Conference Room 7, giving a tour to diplomats from the Hadari Union. This is where the Valkyrie tried to force our surrender, she explained. And this is where they learned that humanity could not be threatened. Were you afraid? A Hadari asked. Terrified, Suman admitted. But fear is not weakness. Fear kept us alert. Fear made us prepare. Fear helped us survive. Secretary Do-hyun visited the memorial on the anniversary of the battle. Hana, Minho, Sumin, Jiho, Yuna, Hyunwoo, Eunji, Taeho, and Sora all gathered there. The people who had turned a trap into a triumph. They stood in silence before a wall listing the names of all humans who had died in the 12-year war. Thousands of names, thousands of lives lost before humanity learned to protect itself properly. They did not die in vain, Do-hyun said quietly. Every loss taught us. Every sacrifice made us stronger. Because of them, humanity will never be trapped again. A transmission came through on Do-hyun's personal comm. It was from the Valkyrie, from one of the new peaceful states. They were requesting a meeting. They wanted to discuss joining a mutual defense alliance with humanity. Do-hyun looked at his companions and saw the same understanding in their eyes. The galaxy had changed. The Valkyrie, once the dominant empire, now sought human protection. Other species looked to humanity for leadership. It was not the future they had expected, but it was the future they had earned. "We will always be ready," Do-hyun said to his team. "The weapons stay sharp. The fleet stay strong. The intelligence networks stay active. Not because we seek war, but because preparedness prevents war. Peace through strength," Hana said. "And mercy through wisdom," Suman added. They left Theta 7 together, returning to their various duties. Across the galaxy, humanity's message spread not through propaganda but through action. They helped species rebuild. They protected the weak. They traded fairly. They negotiated honestly. But every species knew the truth that lay beneath the diplomacy. Humanity was ready, always ready. They had arrived at Theta 7 fully armed, and they remained fully armed every day since. The galaxy was at peace, not because everyone loved each other, but because everyone understood the price of war, and they understood that if war came, humanity would be prepared. In his office on Earth, Secretary Do-hyun looked at the stars one last time before returning to his desk. Somewhere out there, new threats might be forming. New empires might be dreaming of conquest. Let them dream. Let them plan. Let them try. Humanity would be ready. Humanity was always ready. That was the lesson of Theta 7. That was the doctrine that kept the peace. The peace treaty had been a trap, but humanity had known all along, and in knowing they had transformed treachery into triumph, trap into victory, and war into a peace that would last, because humanity never forgot. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And when you arrive at the negotiating table, arrive fully armed.